Well, we don't know for sure, but we've got this artifact here that's been recovered, not intact, but clearly from the Battle of Endor. Once we get this trooper identified, we will include a plaque, of course. And as you know, I make a lot of helmets, and I've been slowly consolidating into one part of my apartment. Pardon me. Where I've sort of got these shelves all kind of crammed in here, and I'm just giving these helmets a place to live. This is not the final concept for how I want to display these, but that'll come a little later. I'm going to have a show next month of all the helmets, and they'll be presented in a much cleaner space with really nice lighting. So I'm looking forward to that. Sunday afternoon here, and I've been working a lot lately, so I've been posting way less, and I do apologize for that to my really friendly subscribers. That I'm really grateful for all your friendships and for joining me on this journey of basically taking all my skills, my sculpture and prop making skills, and doing something for myself rather than just working for other people. And along the way, I came up with a couple variations on the Scout that I like. The sort of chrome Scout, I guess you could say, the Cylon. There's a nice angle. It's the Cylon Scout or the Phasma Scout. I also did a Chrome Rex, and I thought it really looks like Captain Phasma, but I would really be happy doing Chrome on any helmet design because it just really helps the design pop, and I learn a lot from going through that process. The Chrome is very unforgiving. Any print lines or glue lines or any kind of build lines are going to show like crazy. So you want to kind of incorporate or obliterate, as my one of my mentors used to say. So yeah, this Scout helmet has a almost very Earth-like camouflage pattern. It's basically like zooming into British tricolor. And all of these colors are ones that I mixed. So none of these are just basic camouflage colors. Um, Same thing here. I wanted to mix the colors really uniquely so that they didn't immediately resemble anything too Earth-like, but relatable. I think any weathering or battle damage or camouflage patterns are very relatable just because you see a lot of that here on Earth. So here's the current state of the blaster wall. And these blasters were really fun to make. I really don't consider them as being done. Um, this blaster right here, I want to make a stock for it, like a folding metal stock. And then just in general, they need to be weathered, and I'd like to do some chrome and some alternate metallic finishes on some parts. One of them, I just want to do like a like a full camouflage paint on it, so it just looks like a desert warfare cannon. So yeah, these are basically, they've been printed, they've been glued up, and they've been sanded and primered, and then basically I just threw this black paint kind of on everything just to give it that base of a really smooth black. And then I'm going to work some wood finishes. These stocks are really fun because you could do like a faux wood finish, which is really sweet. But you have to come up with like a space wood. It can't be too earthly. So maybe some like orange wood or purple, but something that's not plastic, you know. The problem with the blasters just being all black plastic is that they just look so much like a modern military weapon. So anyway, it'll be fun to go to dig back into these, and kind of like with this helmet here. Hi Dale, welcome to the live stream. With this helmet here, I did a chrome finish, but then I also weathered it quite a bit. And the weathering was with copper and yellow, and then another layer of weathering with black paint. So that similar kind of metallic weathering is going to happen on these bad boys on some parts. Definitely the clip. Definitely just like any receivers or substructures can get a metallic finish. Hey, what's up? Welcome to the live stream. So I've been working so much these days that I really haven't been posting too much, but I'm making a lot of stuff. And like for example, sitting on the floor here I just got this helmet home because I want to keep it clean. Obviously, it's a nice shiny Boba Fett. It's not a Mandalorian helmet per se. It's just like more of an old Boba Fett design, but looks good shiny. But I'm gonna weather this and do some stuff with it. But I just wanted to bring it home so it doesn't get totally wrecked in studio, because I've really just been doing a lot of metal work, and then for the past few weeks doing a lot of concrete and building a fence. So I've been working too much lately and not posting hardly at all. And I just wanted to show you guys what's going on. So I've continued to grow my Scout Trooper toy collection. So a couple new ones here I've got off eBay recently. And yeah, these aren't in great shape by any means. In fact, I really enjoy getting the old school Kenner toys when they are pretty rough and played with, such as these are, and discolored. Then that way you can get a good price on it, and you can clean them if you want. But I really enjoy the patina on some of these old toys. This guy right here is really cool in particular. It's got just tons of ink, like some kid was playing with this. Oops. That's what I mean. You can just drop them and not worry about it. But yeah, some kid was like playing with this one like crazy, and there's just like a bunch of paint and like crayons. And I like to get a toy in this shape as well, like very played with, very patinaed. You'll get a great price on it. And, as time goes on, it's better not to clean antiques because people like the old patina. And as crazy as it sounds, I think some of these really patinaed old Kenner toys are going to actually come into favor over time. And I've got a couple really good speeder bikes as well, because this channel is all about the Scout Trooper, not just the body armor, but also their speeder bike. And I'd love to use my skills, especially my metalworking skills, to actually construct a real speeder bike someday. So we'll see. So let's just have a little topic of conversation here before I have to wrap this video up and go back to work, of course, because it's Sunday. And here in America, we have to work so hard for money that you're going to catch us working on Sunday. But I had a great talk with my family member this morning. We had a nice chat, my uncle. Good Sunday activity. And I was just getting all these, just kind of playing with my toys and getting ready for the day. Looking at some new toys I got recently, and I thought, hey, let's just go live. Let's just talk about this with our fellow fans of Scout Trooper. I love the Scout Trooper. I had this toy as a kid, of course, had a huge impact on me. And now as an adult, I have allowed myself to splurge and be a total diva and really just do probably what I really just kind of always wanted to do. And of making Scout Trooper stuff and collecting Scout Trooper stuff, and in a shameless manner and in a public manner. And I just have been overwhelmed by a lot of subscribers and a huge number of positive comments. I've received over 4,000 comments on my channel, and that is so cool. I just really appreciate that. So that's just a huge amount of encouragement to keep sharing what's going on in this little corner of the galaxy. So I was lucky enough to score one of these new Scout Trooper toys when it was going on sale with this new speeder bike, which is okay. It's fine. It's like in the TV show. It's fine. Now, one thing I criticize in the TV show is that the Scout Troopers have their neon upside down. Okay. And now I can easily prove this to you. Here's a new Scout Trooper. You can see how his knee pads are. Now, here's an original Scout Trooper. See? This is how they're supposed to go, with that V shape on the top. All right. And it actually does protrude up off the strap. It doesn't fall down off the strap. Okay. Here you can see that it's upside down. Okay. Especially because you see that V shape is now, it's pointing down. All right. Now, this is on screen in the TV show. It's one of the first things I noticed. And I think I referenced this in one of my videos if you want to go check that out. But yeah, so in the Mandalorian, the Scout actors are dressed with their knee pads are on upside down. You can tell by looking at the original toy that this is true. But what I find interesting is that they carried the knee pads being on upside down in the TV show, that somehow that also got carried all the way over to the toy design, which makes me think that this is not an accident. This is on purpose. What they're trying to do is, they know they're upside down, because once you see them doing it in multiple places, then you know that's intentional. So why would they knowingly, in all modern forms, put the Scout Troopers knee pads on upside down? Well, because this is like putting a hidden element in money to keep people from counterfeiting it, in a way. Not exactly, but sort of. They don't think anyone's going to notice. That's what it is. They don't think anyone's going to ever notice that the knee pads are on upside down compared to the original toy, and of course the on-screen from Return of the Jedi. Now, I just happen to have with me here, of course, because this is one lost Scout. So, of course, I have a Scout knee pad close by. Now, in the original movie, in the Return of the Jedi, they are wearing their knee pads like this, with this V shape. Just focus on that V shape there. It's up. This is how they wear it. Okay? It looks cool. Watch the movie. You'll see what I mean. In the TV show, they've got it upside down. As you can see clearly, this is the upside down version. I mean, it looks great, but it's upside down. They almost changed the design a little, but it looks great. So clearly, when they're doing this in multiple locations, they're putting the knee pad on. On the TV show, the Scouts are wearing the knee pads like this. Now, is it more comfortable to wear the knee pads like this? Yeah. Would someone who didn't know probably put them on like this because they seem to fit better and feel more comfortable? Yeah. But there's no way that they just did this accidentally. Okay, there's just no way. I have to believe that the quote unquote incorrect representation of the Scout Trooper armor kit in new content, essentially anytime the Scout Trooper shows up in a Disney product, the knee pads are upside down, including toys. To me, that shows intentionality. Hard to even figure out why. It's it's kind of hiding in plain sight, which is just very strange. Very strange. So let's not just be faceless this whole entire time. Hey, what's up, YouTube? What's up, all my subscribers? So I'm just joining you on this Sunday afternoon. We're kind of scratching our heads a little here in the lab here, in the collector lab, just trying to understand modern Scout Trooper toys versus original Kenner Scout Trooper toys. We're just focusing in on the Scout Trooper because sometimes you want to take a really broad look at everything, but sometimes it also helps to just zoom in on one little tiny spot and, how shall we say, get fractal. When you zoom in on some tiny details, you keep seeing intentionality there, then keep zooming in even more, and you'll keep seeing layers of intentionality. And of course, we can also get that from taking really broad views and weighing out everything. But as an artist, as a designer and a creator, I also like to take these really deep dives into like really little tiny details. So the Scout Trooper knee pad and its correct or incorrect representation, I'm going to have to see if the Power of the Force Scout Trooper has the knee upside down. This could actually help locate this. Let's see. Get a little phone stand here. All right. Okay, welcome to my Star Wars dwelling cave. This is my creative office space where I do my not dirty work. In the studio, where most of my videos take place, are where I do my dirty work, like the painting and sanding and stuff. Let's check that Power of the Force figure. Here it is. So the Power of the Force, I think, came out, later 80s? And they did make Scout Troopers. I've got a bunch of fun stuff here in this box, but here we go. All right. Now, before we check to know for sure, this is either going to deepen the mystery or sort of solve the mystery. And let's just say that the mystery is, why are the knee pads for the Scout Trooper on upside down every time he or she is represented in a Disney product? Okay. So I'm going to turn the camera back around so I get a better focus. Now, I know it looks crazy, but let's compare these three. Here we've got original Kenner, Return of the Jedi. Now here we've got Power of the Force, okay? Who's got this really interesting posture because he's more on the bike, you know. He's a really cool character, actually. He's really neat. And then here's the new one. This is the modern Scout Trooper. It's the modern Disney toy. Now, yeah, you can see where the Disney product is a cool, almost cartoonish representation, where the cummerbund is also very different. I will say, though, the hip armor on the Disney toy is incredible because it's actually independent. It's this little thing that hangs there, just like when you cosplay the character, and it's so good. And of course, on the older toys, the Kenner stuff and Hasbro, the hip armor is really understated and it's just kind of in the molding. And honestly, one of my favorite things about the Scout Trooper are those hip armor plates. Excuse me, I'm just getting all coffee, huh? We drink some coffee real quick. So yeah, what we're looking at here is just basically three iterations or three generations of Scout Trooper toys: original Kenner, Power of the Force, and modern Disney. And what I'm trying to focus in on is where and when they started putting the knee pads on upside down. And I thought, okay, well, let's check out the Power of the Force and let's see if they got the knee pads on upside down. But they sure did not, because that V shape, which is great how they're always getting the details of this design correct. But yeah, they've got the V shape pointing up. They're kind of showing the strap. Well, I don't know. It's hard to interpret the paint location and the molding, but clearly, as far as the armor plate goes, they've got it pointing the right way when held against the original. Okay, that's what we're gonna. Not that there's really a wrong way, but it's just strange to see, like, why would you spend billions of dollars on a design product and then install it upside down? It's like they wouldn't put the Mickey Mouse ears on the bottom of Mickey's head. They would put them on the top. So yeah, that would be more obvious, but why would you put the something you spent so much money on, why would you put the knee pads on upside down? I always thought it was a stupid mistake that Disney was making. Now I'm starting to realize it's an intentional thing because it's showing up in so many locations. And it's very interesting to see too how the design evolution from original Kenner, it's kind of a short, skinny guy, just like in the movie. George Lucas always used very short stuntmen for the Stormtroopers, and the Scout Trooper stuntmen are no exception. They're short, agile, like pro skateboarder types, not overly tall. No way. And the action figures reflect that. And you got the Power of the Force Scout Trooper is like, he's buffed up, his pecs are buffed up, he's more like a main character, and built less like a stunt actor from at least from the 80s, per se, but buffed up more like a main character, less likely to be flipped over easily by Han Solo, for sure. There were some weird things though in the Power of the Force figures, like these pieces of upper hip armor, where it's just like that white trapezoid, like that's just something they invented. They just added that for some reason. They thought that'd be cool. I do complain sometimes about how they align or don't align what is called the bicep armor and the forearm armor. The armor doesn't look bad on this new one, but that black dot on the forearm doesn't really make any sense. Again, they're doing these intentional changes to. No, I don't know. Is that a little screw there? Maybe it's just screw hole. I guess. There's this little blaster. They've got it. It doesn't look like an EC-17 at all, really. I mean, it kind of does, but let's see. Anyway, my only gripe, look, this one is unpainted little blaster. But my only gripe is how they got the knee pads wrong. I think they got everything else within an acceptable range of correctness. And possibly could evolve. I mean, I've always thought of it a little bit as the Kenner, Scout Trooper is the Endor battle era Scout Trooper, and that as time moves on, as fragments of the Empire move on, of course, then we have not too long after you get the Power of the Force series. And I'm okay with the idea that we're actually in the future a little now, and the Scout Trooper design has maybe evolved slightly, or maybe only the strong survive. So now the Scout Troopers are a little more buff, looking a little more like a GI Joe, That's something that really turned me off, besides the fact that I had grown up at that point. But when I saw the Power of the Force action figures, like at the supermarket or wherever I was, or some kids, I'd see some friends' kids would have them or something like that. I always thought they looked weird because they were always really buff, like the Darth Vader Power of the Force figure is really strange because he's so well, he looks like Arnold Schwarzenegger kind of, and that's cool. But if you go back to those original Kenner action figures, like this guy here, for example, they're like these little skinny guys. And just for fun, let's put a 1977-78 Stormtrooper, and you'll see, my goodness, he's also a very short little skinny guy. These old ones, very skinny. They're not like these big buffed up main characters. If you look at the Return of the Jedi scout, I mean, he looks buff compared to these older Imperial scouts. And then if we just go off radar a little bit here to the Mos Eisley Cantina, we get really cool characters like Greedo. Also a skinny dude, not buff, not like a main character buff guy. So I like how in the old days, when it was still run by Lucasfilms, the physique of the characters was really toned down to something much more normal, than we see these days. But, all right, guys. Well, thanks for joining me here in the cave. It's been fun visiting with you guys for a little bit here on YouTube. I like to try to get this stuff documented, and I like to try to get this, not really so much information, but I like to just try and stamp these insights that we have along the way of like little slight changes that are happening as time goes on. Like now Scout Troopers knee pads are always shown upside down. So it's just something to look for. Like I hope there's Scout Troopers in the new Mandalorian movie, because then we'll be able to see, hey, did they put them on upside down or not? So anyway, guys, I've got to bounce off to work today, because here in the United States, we work on Sundays because everything costs so much more now. What can we do? Hey, what can we do? What matters most is your health and staying close to the people you care about, letting your creativity flow. And that means just drawing on a napkin. It might just be drawing on a piece of paper. You don't have to be spending money on PLA and spending money on printers and all this other stuff. It doesn't really require money to make art or to be creative. It helps a little. I remember one time me and my buddies, just tell you this one little story, when we were in art school. So we were like 19, 20 years old, and we were juniors in art college. And a homeless guy, and we were like downtown in the middle of the night. We were like, scrapping and looking for cool stuff and probably just getting in trouble and in the name of art, something like that. We might have been tagging as well. I'm not sure. But there was a homeless guy who came up to us, and he asked us for money to buy art supplies, which I thought was an interesting line. Maybe he could see that we were artists. Maybe there was an art show that we were kind of orbiting. And so this homeless guy comes up, hey, can I get some money for some art supplies, right? Just smart enough of a guy to come up with something that's going to resonate, right? But we were broke, and we would find art supplies. We would do something called dumpster diving, where you'd go to a construction site and you would just dumpster dive the dumpsters, and you could find metal, sheetrock, electrical stuff. You could find all kinds of cool stuff dumpster diving. So this guy wants money to go buy art supplies. Like, we didn't even have money to go buy art supplies, right? We're dumpster diving. So we were just like, oh no, our art supplies are free. Art supplies don't cost money. They just come out of the dumpster. And we were just like all dying laughing. I think we still gave him like $1 though, but it was just kind of funny. Not all artists are just spoiled rich kids. At least some of us back in the day in art college. Somehow we got in there, somehow we were borrowing and getting loans, to stay in college and working our butts off. I worked 40 hours a week all 4 years that I was in college, and summers I always worked. And I couldn't afford to live on campus. It cost less. You could rent a small apartment off campus for a better price than living on campus. So you'll figure it out. The future's always getting, it's always a little weird, but it's always challenging. And if you're concerned about how to pay for college or how to live, as a college student, don't worry, you'll figure it out. There's so many jobs that exist in society that are literally there for college students to do. And you'll know what those are once you're in college. Those will all become obvious because your senior classmates will have guidance for you as well. So have a happy Sunday. Have a blessed Sunday. Have a productive week. And hey, I'll try to see you next weekend. Okay, guys? And let me know if there's any stuff you want to see in the comments or any stuff that you want me to explore about the Scout Trooper. I'm always down to go down a rabbit hole, definitely on anything Star Wars. So let me know in the comments. Okay, guys? And just have a wonderful Sunday. All right? And thank you for joining me today. Adios. And live every day like it's Life Day. Bye. Have a great Sunday, everybody.